welcome to New Filmmakers Los Angeles in partnership with Movie Maker magazine. My name is Danny DeLillo and I'm delighted to be joined with the ridiculously talented Marya and Noreen who are here with Sophie in Hollywood. But for those that haven't seen it, let's take a look at the clip.
This is the only thing I could think of to start over. Can't you just be supportive?
You're divorced. You live in this tiny studio with the cockroaches. Now you want act. My daughter has gone crazy. Why don't you go back to accounting?
Because I hated it. What's it like to ride a big wave?
Oh, it's a rush. Sometimes you have to take a risk or life is boring, isn't it?
I loved you at the film festival, but I love being with you because you have such great energy and you made such great work. And I love Sophie in Hollywood and I want to watch 10 seasons. But for those that haven't seen Sophie in Hollywood, tell us a brief synopsis. I know it's probably more you, Noreen, as you wrote it.
So basically it's about a woman who becomes newly divorced and she starts her new life in LA and also wants to reach her dream, and that's basically acting, her childhood dream. And in the midst of it, she goes through the jungle of dating, and this is after being married for 20 years. And during the process, she gets a surprise visit of her mother, a tiger mom, who ends up staying with her for an indefinite amount of time. And so it's a comedy about life, a comedy about identity, finding your identity and your voice. All that good stuff.
I felt like in love with Sophie. I just was like, almost like she was so real. Like she was real. Like I was like, I want to go and just buy her lunch or something. She's, and help her on her dreams, like it really was, it did resonate and it was so brilliant to watch and I just wanted more. Where did the inspiration come from in turning this wonderful story, into a series?
Well, I would say that, as a writer, a lot of our inspiration comes from real life. And so I would have to say a lot of it does come from my own experience. It's not an autobiography, but it's gleaned from real life experiences. My experience growing up as a first generation American-born Chinese and having grown up with stereotype, interactions. And I knew that at some point I really wanted to write, create, produce a story, a realistic, non-stereotypical story of an American-born Chinese who goes through life like everyone else and the transitions of life and gets a second chance. And most of all, chooses to listen to her own voice rather than the voice of culture, which is a strong one, as well as society. Mm-hmm. And to me, I'm so compelled by it that I needed to bring that out.
Yeah, absolutely. And, firstly, there's elements of culture and society that gets, unleashed and those things that, this character Sophie has experienced in her life up till now. And then, there's this other aspect of being, divorced and like suddenly putting yourself first, and I found that really humbling as well of just seeing her achieving her dreams as well, which was just great to see in a beautifully comedic style. My goodness. Anyways, Marya, haven't forgotten about you. I love that you come together to make this project. Tell us a little bit about how you got involved with Noreen in making this.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for having us. It's such an honor to be part of the fest and be here. I met Noreen through a mutual kind of friend connection. I'm a theater director in Los Angeles. I've worked at a lot of the major theaters in LA, thankfully. And I had directed a short film for AFI Directing Workshop for Women. I was looking to do another project and this mutual friend introduced us. And, I really wanted to find material that was compelling to me and not just direct anything. It had to be something that spoke to me in terms of the story. And I'm very interested in stories of the marginalized in our society or people who have been historically underrepresented. And I don't see a lot of stories about American-born Chinese women, especially women over 40. And I love that this story highlighted her personal journey, her search for self, but also her sexuality. I feel like we don't see sexualization of women over 40, and we're sexual beings just like everybody else. And I love that that was embraced in this story, and that discovery happens. So I think it's fun and funny, but also has a lot of heart. And I always like that combination of something to say, but say it with some joy, say it with love, you know?
Yeah, I'm glad you found each other. And for you, Noreen, working with Marya, like, you know, it's always interesting when it's something you wrote and then you're putting it out there and you're asking somebody else to take that story for you, and that journey, like your film baby, is being released to the world, right? And so, how was that experience working with each other? And I'm glad you found each other. How was that experience?
It was, I would say, fabulous. And so I have to say that when I was interviewing for this role, I knew it had to be a woman.
Yes.
It's a woman's story, but also the woman, as a director, the woman can understand it. And I had to find someone who it really resonated with her, that she would take ownership of it. And so, and she had to be passionate about this subject. So it's not just about, okay, this is a job, whatever, but she had to really believe in it, because that will come out. That will come out in the directing, in the creativity. And I also wanted a director who had experience, but also can bring fresh ideas to it. I'm not one of those that you have to go just this way, this way. I love to work with people, smart people, talented people who basically can bring fresh ideas to this, because that's what it's all about, collaboration. And someone had said, I forgot, was it Steve Jobs, that basically you hire smart people, then you let it go and let them bring it to you. And so it was just amazing just to see Marya on set, and she's really great on set too. She's really chill. She's really cool. That's the other thing, that you're working long hours with people, and she had such a great presence and was very calm with things. And she had great ideas. A lot of the scenes was just her ideas. So it was fabulous.
Well, Marya, obviously you're a very experienced theater director, and I always feel like every actor should do theater to, you know, really exercise all the essences that can come with building a character. But like working with Noreen in this context, like what's kind of your style as a director? Like, how do you work with your actors generally? And especially, you know, this in this particular context, because there's comedy in here and there's comedic elements, and comedy's hard, but you did it very well. I'm just saying, it's very, very hard. But how do you work with your actors, or like to work with your actors?
That's a great question. I feel like every actor works in a different process. We all have so much different training, British actors, American actors. So I try to respond to the specific training that they have, and work in their own language. If they're more of an external actor, they want a physical direction or physical adjustment, I would give them that. If they are more internal, they need psychological motivation, give them that. Sometimes it's an object, you know, we'll just say a dildo might play into this series at some point. Like that was something that we came up with in the rehearsal process, like, hey, that would inspire this actor and create a funny moment. So I hope I'm allowed to say that on camera.
Hey, it's late night. Don't worry, it's all good. No, you're totally fine.
Yeah, so we just look, you know, I always look at, well, how does that person like to work? How can I respond off of what will be useful to that particular actor? And we did try to create a fun atmosphere and an open atmosphere, where people feel like they can take chances, they can try things. Sometimes with film in particular, I think everybody's beat the clock, right? We're always conscious of every minute, but it's that classic thing where it takes longer to do something under pressure than it does if you keep kind of a positive vibe and good energy. Ultimately, you save time because people aren't freaking out. So that's what I try to do. We had such a great collaborative team. Daniel Rank, our cinematographer, Kimberly Wong, who produced along with Noreen. Just everybody on the set really tried to create a positive atmosphere. And I think that that helped a lot too. Our production designer was amazing. Just a really great team that wanted it to be fun.
Yeah.
Kay Cunningham, we did our makeup and hair and costumes, was really, really terrific. That was, so we all kind of came together and tried to make it a fun time.
Yeah, you can tell you had fun. You can feel the vibe through camera. I've seen so many films. You can really tell when someone's really had fun making something, and it really came across in all of it. I binged the whole thing. Like I honestly, like I want every episode. I've seen it all. Like it was so watchable, and it was such a joy to watch. And again, Sophie is such a wonderful character. I have to say, we've mentioned a lot of different things in this interview. From trying to make a non-stereotypical, highlighting, women over 40, also second time in their career, about making a different path or a dream for themselves. There was so many things, Noreen being a first generation American, Chinese American. So it's all these different things that were elements in there. And I love that because it was just so refreshing to see on screen. So well done for, taking all those elements in them. I mean it honestly. Like I'm a gay man, but my God, I always speak out and say we don't put enough females out there and show their beautiful sensuality, sexuality in the way that it comes across. So it was so refreshing to see, and with some fun and laughter on the way, but yeah.
That's really Noreen's vision. I have to credit that vision from the very beginning of this project. That I think I remember our first conversation, Noreen, when we were in a coffee shop, and Noreen said, it's really important to me that the sexuality of this woman come across, and that we see, not obviously that wasn't the only aspect, but I really loved that right from the beginning, Noreen highlighted that this was a different type of story than had been seen in the public previously, and the importance of getting it out there. So that was really her vision from the start, I think, Noreen.
Yeah, until now. And I know that you two with Sophie and Hollywood, you're inspiring people that you may never actually meet, but are going to relate to it and love it. So I'm just glad you all come together and making this happen. But I'm so curious, what is next for you? What's next for Sophie and Hollywood? What's next for you both together? What's going on?
Oh, Andrew, first of all, thank you again. You're just amazing. And, it's such a joy. I think the best part is when you get your project out there, you just never know, right? You just don't know how the audience is going to respond. So it's been really amazing, overwhelming to some extent, how it's won awards in the film festivals. It's been shown internationally. Actually, it's being acknowledged internationally in Greece. It won in Greece, and also Italy, as well as domestically, New York City and LA and South Carolina, where a lot of productions are taking part. But I want to create this. It was very compelling, and actually, I'm working on a TV pilot right now. And it's a comedy, and it's actually about a single mother who faces bankruptcy, and in happenstance, she meets a disgraced scientist, and together they create a formula that allows older women to become fertile again, and they get rejuvenated in more ways than one. And in the process, they discover a fountain of youth serum. And then they try to hide it because everyone's now trying to find it and get it. So it is a comedy. It's there's some science to it. And is it far-fetching? No, it's not. And the reason being is that for the last couple of years, I've actually seen this. I've actually witnessed. And in fact, my co-writer is the scientist in the story. So it's actually true. And I've seen him take a 61-year-old woman, this is the truth, and now she's menstruating, and she's actually considering wanting a child.
That is
and it's making her dream come true. And that's why I wanted to write this yet again. This is something I want to write stories to allow people to dream again, but also that there are possibilities in life.
Yes.
There are possibilities. And this is incredible.
Yeah.
This is incredible. And I want to get it out there. But it's character driven.
Yeah.
about the woman who's in her late 40s, actually close to 50, and actually who also perhaps wants to have a child again.
Yeah.
And why not?
Why not?
And you know, in this right now, this is really interesting in my research, 20% of the population in the US is actually women 40 to 65 years old now, 20%. That's quite a number. And so we do have this target demo, and actually fertility rate has decreased, not just in the US alone. We're talking internationally, we're talking in Japan, I mean, all across the world. And there are multiple reasons for that. And there are women right now, I'm taking it really personally because my own family members have gone through IVF. I mean, they've had a hard time getting pregnant, and they're, you know, in their 40s, whatever. And it's really important for them. This is their
Yes.
dream.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so right now, I think it's really apropos. It's a really interesting story, but it's also, it's possible.
Yes, no,
Possible.
absolutely. I'm so happy you're making this film. I'm so happy that you're, really just sharing that passion with all of us and our audience, because these are important and no one should ever feel that their dreams cannot happen. And this is so great. I love to hear that there's women's dreams can happen, having a child, at a point where it's not supposedly able to happen. That's fantastic. Like, I can't wait. I'm already in watching your film with popcorn, Noreen. I'm already there waiting for it. Okay. And Marya, for you, what is next for you as well?
Well, I actually wrote a feature. It's called Zadie, and I'm working with Christina Sybil, who's producing along with Karen Tenkoff. Christina's film Butter is coming out in theaters in about a month, I believe. Zadie is a coming of age story. It's set in the 70s, and it's about a misfit teen girl who gets involved with a group of college age political activists and ultimately finds herself fighting to terminate her own abortion.
Wow.
And so it's got actually a remarkable amount of humor considering how heavy it sounds.
Yeah.
It's a story about fighting for what you believe in, even when, all of those around you don't believe in it. And it's also a family story in a funny way. It's about the father-daughter relationship. It's about a girl whose parents leave her in the kind of finding themselves 70s. And then, she finds her way back to them and they find her way back to her. So,
oh my goodness. You both just making amazing work. Like, my goodness. Thank you both, honestly, for Sophie in Hollywood. My only sad part about it was that it ended and I just was like, I need more. But well done on
never say never.
Yeah, please.
That's right.
But also thank you for being such trailblazers, with great storytelling and such passion behind the storytelling, because it really does show in the work. So I really appreciate you bringing it to New Filmmakers LA, and hopefully we'll see many more of your films in the future, please.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you for having us.